I mean, when you're talking about the environment, the ecology
Yeah.
is an integral part of the physical environment. So perhaps the president just felt like he should do away with the superfluous nature of that ministry. There could also be something more, strategic behind that thinking, which may not be clear to us now. But for me, really, it's just like saying the Ministry of Sports and Football.
Yeah,
So I mean, football is an aspect of sport. So perhaps maybe that's the thinking. I wouldn't know. But of course, there are some other ministries that have been split, and some that have been consolidated. Let me go back to the environment and ecology thing.
Sure.
There is always an issue around this, ecological fund, which was under the Ministry of the Environment. It could also be that there is a thinking of moving that, directly under the presidency or somewhere else, maybe for more equitable, distribution and proactiveness, So there could be a whole lot of things behind that, but I don't think that it's just a matter of, rechristening or renaming. There must be
more to it.
Yeah, there must be more to it, which perhaps by the time we look at the other ministries, we might see where the functions taken away from here have been, embedded in one or placed under the presidency, just like the NDDC, which is now, by what I read yesterday, coming under the presidency.
And talking about coming under the presidency, two things here. There is no minister of petroleum. And that is not exactly a brand new trend. I think we've seen that in the past two administrations, I believe.
No, just the immediate past.
Oh, just the immediate past with President Buhari. So everybody was saying that President Buhari was the minister of petroleum by virtue of the fact that it wasn't put out. So everything was. So it looks like that's very much the way it's going to be now.
In fact, in the case of President Buhari, on a day like this, when he was swearing in his first cabinet, he actually declared himself, publicly as a
even though there was a minister of state,
substantive minister of petroleum.
Okay.
Having said that, the very nature of oil and gas, in Nigeria, the bulk really stops at the, table of the president. In this case, President Tinubu has not declared himself the substantive minister of, petroleum resources, but the fact that he has two ministers of state without a, well, I don't know whether to keep using the word substantive,
because he's taking that position.
Yes, it can be assumed that is,
So that is going to be helped very much by those two, ministers. One for oil, one for gas, even though we call them junior ministers here, but they're going to be quite indispensable to, the smooth running of that place, I would imagine.
Yes, especially when you look at the very critical decision that the president, announcement the president made. He didn't take that decision on petroleum subsidy. He decided to implement that decision. And the critical nature of that, that sector, oil and gas, which has implications for every citizen and every sector of the Nigerian economy. It should not be, far-fetched to see why maybe the president decided to want to have a direct supervisory role over the activities in that sector, so that the kind of things we keep hearing, whether they are factual or not, can cease. There are a lot of people who believe that the headquarters of corruption in Nigeria, is oil and gas because of the opaque nature, of that business. So perhaps that is the thinking of the president. I want to have my finger. I want to be on top of this, so that every decision that is taken, there was a time that subsidy was removed, and then over time we started hearing of under recovery, by the NNPC to justify and explain why they are not remitting, the kind of proceeds they should be remitting to the Federation account.
Let's